The man rushed into the ER at 1:23 a.m. looked like just another heart attack. Until Elena, the 71-year-old janitor, spotted the tiny puncture mark on his arm. After 30 years as an Army combat medic, she knew that mark: potassium chloride injection. Someone was trying to kill this man. Welcome to Unseen Heroes. Before we begin this story of a janitor who prevented a perfect murder, tell us where you're watching from in the comments. If you believe heroes never truly retire, hit that subscribe button. And if this story moves you, don't forget to like. It helps others discover these invisible guardians. Elena Rodriguez pushed her mop bucket through Memorial Hospital's emergency room, past the controlled chaos of a typical Friday night. Drunk drivers, bar fights, overdoses. Los Angeles never slept, and neither did its trauma centers. At 71, Elena had traded combat boots for comfortable sneakers, military fatigues for a blue custodial uniform. But some things never changed. The hypervigilance, the ability to triage a room in seconds, the instinct that saved lives in Fallujah, Kandahar, and now, apparently, in LA. The man on Gurney 7 had been rushed in 2 minutes ago. Classic presentation, clutching chest, sweating, gasping. The young resident was already ordering an EKG, calling for cardiac enzymes. Textbook response. But Elena saw what they missed. The puncture mark on his inner elbow. Fresh, maybe 10 minutes old. Too small for an 4, too precise for an accidental stick. She'd seen marks like that before, in field hospitals where enemy combatants tried to assassinate wounded soldiers with poison injections. "Excuse me." Elena approached the resident, Dr. Kumar. The patient dash. "Ma'am, please stay back. We're handling this." Elena retreated, but kept watching. The man's eyes weren't unfocused with pain. They were sharp with fear. His hand clutched not his chest, but the resident's coat, trying to speak through the oxygen mask. Then she heard it, the order that made her blood freeze. Bed 314 needs the cardiac medication. Prep 10 cubic centimeters potassium chloride. Elena's head snapped toward bed 314. Empty. Had been empty all night. She cleaned it herself an hour ago. The nurse, Jessica, usually so careful, grabbed the syringe and headed toward bed 341, where the terrified man lay. Simple transposition error. 314 to 341? In 30 years of combat medicine, Elena had seen mistakes kill more soldiers than bullets. But this felt different. This felt deliberate. Elena moved. Not the shuffle of a tired janitor, but the purposeful stride of a senior NCO. She intercepted Jessica 3 feet from the gurney. "That's for 314, Elena said calmly. "This is 341. Jessica blinked, looked at the bed number, then at her order sheet. "Oh my God, you're right. I could have. Easy mistake," Elena said, but her eyes were scanning. "Who gave the order? Who wanted this man dead?" The attending physician, Dr. Morrison, appeared. Elena had worked nights for 2 years, knew every doctor's routine. Morrison wasn't supposed to be here. He worked days. "What's the delay?" Morrison demanded. "This patient needs immediate intervention." "Doctor," there was confusion about the bed number, Jessica explained. Morrison's face flushed. "Then fix it. Now. This man is dying." But Elena was already moving. She accidentally knocked over her mop bucket, sending soapy water across the floor. Morrison jumped back, cursing. In the confusion, Elena leaned close to the patient, whispered in his ear, "I know you're not having a heart attack. Blink twice if you understand." 2 deliberate blinks. "I'm going to help. Play along." Elena straightened, grabbed paper towels. As she cleaned, she spoke loudly. "Dr. Kumar, this patient has a puncture wound on his left antecubital fossa. Looks fresh." Kumar, young but smart, immediately looked. "She's right. This looks like an injection site." "So?" Morrison snapped. "Paramedics probably tried to star in 4. No 4 attempt documented." Kumar checked the chart, and the paramedics said he was conscious and refused intervention during transport. The room dynamic shifted. Elena felt it. The moment when routine became suspicious, when assumptions crumbled. She created enough doubt to pause the treatment. The patient pulled off his oxygen mask. Please, he gasped, accent distinctly Eastern European. They're trying to kill me. The Kozlov trial. I'm supposed to testify Monday. Morrison's hand moved to his pocket. Elena, who'd spent years watching for concealed weapons, saw the gesture. Without thinking, she swung her mop handle, catching Morrison's wrist. A syringe fell to the floor. Security! Kumar shouted. Morrison lunged for the syringe. Elena, despite her age, had muscle memory that transcended years. She pivoted, used Morrison's momentum against him, sent him sprawling into the crash cart. Young Dr. Kumar, bless him, sat on Morrison's back while Jessica called security. You don't understand? Morrison snarled. He's a criminal. A monster. He killed children in Chechnya. That's for a court to decide, Elena said calmly, securing the syringe with a paper towel. Not you. Security arrived, then LAPD, then a circus of investigators. The patient, Dmitry Volkov, was indeed scheduled to testify against the Kozlov crime family. Morrison had gambling debts, had been compromised, paid to ensure Volkov never made it to court. As dawn broke, Elena finally returned her mop. Detective Harper found her cleaning the now-empty trauma bay. Hell of a thing you did, Harper said. How'd you know? 30 years as a combat medic, Elena replied. Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria. You learned to spot assassination attempts. Potassium chloride was a favorite. Mimics heart attack, hard to trace. Why didn't you say something immediately? Elena smiled sadly. I'm a 71-year-old janitor. Who listens? I had to create a situation where they'd have to see what I saw. Morrison might have killed you. Ma'am, I've been shot at by professionals. A desperate doctor with a syringe wasn't going to take me down. Harper studied her. You miss it? The military? Every day. But this. Elena gestured at the ER. This is my sector now. These people, they're my unit. And you don't let anyone hurt your unit. The story made headlines. Janitor prevents hospital assassination. Combat medic turned custodian saves star witness. But Elena avoided the cameras, the interviews. That wasn't why she'd acted. 2 weeks later, Volkov found her during her shift. He'd testified successfully. The Kozlov ring was crumbling. You saved my life, he said simply. I did my job. Your job is to clean floors. Elena smiled. No, my job is to serve. The location changed, but the mission didn't. Volkov pressed an envelope into her hand. For your retirement. After he left, Elena opened it. A check for $50,000 and a note. For the soldier who never stopped serving. Elena looked at the check, then at the busy ER around her. Dr. Kumar rushed past, flashed her a thumbs up. Jessica waved from the nurse's station. Even a new attending, Morrison's replacement, nodded respectfully. She pocketed the check, but didn't cash it. Didn't quit. Because retirement wasn't about stopping work. It was about finding where you were still needed. 6 months passed. Elena kept her routine, mopping, watching, protecting. The hospital installed new protocols, double checks for medication administration. But technology couldn't replace instinct, and procedures couldn't match experience. On a cold Tuesday night, Elena noticed something off about a young nurse. New hire, nervous but the wrong kind of nervous. The kind she'd seen in insurgents pretending to be civilians. Elena watched, waited. When the nurse headed toward the medicine locker during shift change, when attention was divided, Elena followed. The nurse was photographing patient files. Cancer patients. Their medications, their schedules, their insurance information. Selling to identity thieves? Elena asked conversationally. The nurse spun, phone clattering to the floor. This isn't. Save it. Security's already on the way. Elena had triggered the silent alarm 30 seconds ago. Sit down before you do something stupid. The nurse sat, started crying. My daughter, her treatment. I can't afford. Elena softened, but didn't relax her vigilance. Desperate people did desperate things. Their programs. Legal help. This isn't the way. You don't understand. No one understands. Try me. For 10 minutes, until security arrived, Elena listened. Really listened. The nurse's daughter had a rare cancer. Insurance had denied an experimental treatment. Debt collectors were circling. After the nurse was taken away, Elena made some calls. Used connections from her military days. By morning, the daughter was enrolled in a clinical trial at the VA hospital, all expenses covered. Because that's what medics did. They saved everyone they could, even the ones who'd made mistakes. Dr. Kumar found her later. Heard what you did. For the nurse's kid. Don't know what you mean, right? Kumar grinned. You know, we could use someone like you in an official capacity. Security consultant, patient advocate. I'm a janitor, Elena said firmly. I clean up messes. Sometimes those messes are spilled coffee. Sometimes they're attempted murders. But the job's the same. The months rolled on. Elena became a legend at Memorial. Staff learned to trust her instincts. When she said something was wrong, people listened. She prevented 3 more criminal incidents, a drug theft ring, an insurance fraud scheme, and another assassination attempt on a gang member turned informant. But it was the quiet saves that mattered most. The suicidal teenager she talked to while mopping the bathroom. The homeless veteran she recognized from her unit got into treatment. The young resident she caught self-medicating guided toward help. One night, the hospital administrator approached her. Mrs. Rodriguez, I need to ask, why do you do this? You could retire comfortably. Your military pension, social security. Elena leaned on her mop, considered. You know what the worst part of combat was? Not the danger. It was the afterward. Coming home to a world that didn't need your skills. Being trained to save lives under fire, then being told you're too old to matter. She gestured at the busy ER. Here, I matter. My experience matters. Every night, I use skills they said were obsolete. Every night I serve. But surely there are easier ways. Easy was never the point. Elena resumed mopping. The point was purpose. 5 years into her custodial career, Elena trained her replacement, not for retirement, but for expansion. The hospital created the Guardian program, placing veterans in support roles throughout the facility, not as security, but as observers, protectors, the ones who saw what others missed. Elena ran the training, taught them to read rooms like battlefields, to spot predators among healers, to protect without being seen. Remember, she told each class, we're not here to be heroes. We're here to make sure heroes can do their jobs safely. We're the Overwatch, the guardian angels with mops and brooms. The program spread to other hospitals. Lives were saved, crimes prevented, all because one combat medic refused to believe her war was over. On her 75th birthday, the ER threw Elena a surprise party. Cake in the break room, stories of lives she'd impacted. Volkov sent champagne from his new life in witness protection. The nurse whose daughter she'd helped sent a video. The girl was in remission, planning for college. Speech, someone called out. Elena stood, uncomfortable with attention as always. 30 years ago, I took an oath. To do no harm, to preserve life, to serve something bigger than myself. That oath didn't have an expiration date. She looked around the room at faces that had become family. You think I stayed for you. But truth is, you saved me. You gave an old soldier a mission, a purpose, a reason to keep fighting. To Elena, Dr. Kumar raised his coffee cup. The guardian of Memorial. To all of us, Elena corrected. To everyone who sees someone in need and acts. That's what makes us human. The party continued, but Elena slipped away. She had floors to clean, an ER to watch, lives to guard. Because Sergeant First Class Elena Rodriguez, combat medic, had learned the greatest truth of military service. You never really retire. You just find a new position to hold. 2 years later, Elena faced her greatest challenge yet. Not a single criminal, but a conspiracy that reached into the hospital's core. It started with irregularities in the blood bank. Types mismatched, rare blood going missing, deaths during routine surgeries. The administration blamed clerical errors, but Elena recognized a pattern. Someone was selling rare blood types on the black market, and patients were dying for profit. She started documenting every discrepancy, every suspicious death, every staff member who accessed the blood bank during critical shortages. The web was complex, involving multiple departments. You need to stop digging, Dr. Peterson warned her one night. The chief of surgery, catching her photographing blood bank logs. You don't understand what you're dealing with. I understand people are dying, Elena replied calmly. Sometimes sacrifice is necessary for the greater good. The money funds research that saves hundreds. Tell that to the mother whose child died last week because the O-negative blood mysteriously vanished. Peterson's face hardened. You're a janitor. Stay in your lane. But Elena had never stayed in lanes. Not in combat, not now. She reached out to her network. Veterans she'd trained, now working in hospitals across the city. Together, they uncovered the full scope, a organ and blood trafficking ring operating in 6 hospitals, run by respected surgeons and administrators who justified murder as mathematics. The night Elena planned to deliver her evidence to the FBI, they came for her. 3 men in surgical masks cornered her in the basement. Professional, surgical, planning to make her disappear like the blood they stole. Should have minded your own business, Abuela, one said, producing a syringe. Elena laughed. Actually laughed. Son, I've been captured by Taliban fighters. You think 3 doctors scare me? They rushed her. Elena, at 77, moved like water. The mop handle became a weapon. The cleaning chemicals became defensive tools. Bleach in the eyes, ammonia creating a choking cloud. She used the basement's layout, every pipe, every corner memorized from years of cleaning. When security arrived, alerted by her emergency beacon, they found 3 men unconscious and Elena sitting calmly on her overturned bucket. Might want to call the FBI, she said, and probably check their IDs. Pretty sure one of them is the missing surgeon from Cedars-Sinai. The investigation exploded nationally. 23 arrests. A network dismantled. Lives saved by blood and organs returning to legitimate channels. At the press conference, reporters clamored for Elena's story. Mrs. Rodriguez, how does it feel to be a hero? Elena adjusted her custodial uniform. I'm not a hero. I'm a janitor who pays attention. Heroes are the doctors who refused to participate, the nurses who reported irregularities, the administrators who chose ethics over profit. I just connected dots. But you risked everything. Ma'am, when you've held 18-year-olds as they bled out in Fallujah, when you try to save children hit by IEDs, when you've seen the worst humans can do to each other, stopping some greedy doctors isn't risking everything. It's doing the minimum required of someone who swore an oath. What oath? The Hippocratic Oath. No, the Soldier's Creed. I will never leave a fallen comrade. These patients, this hospital, this community, they're all my comrades. You don't leave them behind. Not ever. Later that night, Elena trained the newest Guardian Program recruits. 50 veterans, each assigned to different hospitals, clinics, care facilities. Your greatest weapon isn't your military training, she told them. It's that people forget you're there. Use that invisibility. Be the eyes that see, the ears that hear, the conscience that acts. One recruit raised his hand. Ma'am, what if we're wrong? What if we see something suspicious, but it's innocent? Elena smiled. Better to investigate 100 false alarms than miss one real threat. But here's the key. We verify. We document. We build cases. We're not vigilantes. We're guardians. There's a difference. What's the difference? Vigilantes act on anger. Guardians act on duty. Never forget what you are. As the recruits filed out, Dr. Kumar approached. Now chief of emergency medicine, he never forgot the janitor who'd saved his patient. Elena, you've built something amazing here. This program, it's revolutionary. It's necessary, Elena corrected. Every institution needs watchers. People who care more about the mission than the credit. When are you going to retire? Really retire? Elena looked at her mop, her bucket, her simple tools. When I stop being useful. When my eyes fail, my instincts dull, my body can't respond. Until then, you hold the line. Exactly. Kumar smiled. Want to know a secret? Half the residents want to be you when they grow up. Not the chief of surgery. Not the famous researchers. The janitor who sees everything and protects everyone. Then I've already succeeded, Elena said. Because it was never about me. It was about showing others they could be guardians too. The ER doors swooshed open. Another ambulance arriving. Another life in the balance. Elena gripped her mop and moved toward the chaos. Ready as always to serve. Some heroes wear capes, some wear scrubs, and some wear custodial uniforms, pushing mop buckets through the night, standing watch over those who need protection. The war never ends. It just changes battlefields. And Elena Rodriguez, warrior in janitor's clothing, would hold the line until her last breath. So I ask you, who watches over you in the places you feel safe? Who are the invisible guardians in your life? Look for them. Thank them. And remember, the person cleaning your space might be doing far more than removing dirt. They might be saving lives, one mop stroke at a time. Until next time, this is Unseen Heroes reminding you. Heroes don't always carry stethoscopes or wear badges. Sometimes they carry mops and see what others miss. Sometimes they're invisible until the moment they save your life. Look closer at the service workers around you. That janitor, that security guard, that cafeteria worker. They might be doing more than their job. They might be standing watch,